let's say you start off with a $300,000 limit. And we had about a dozen clients that were in this position, and they were with us for 2 or 3 years. Now, our average client will pay their home off in 5 to 7 years. And that's the average. That's not every single one. Some are 3, some are 2, some are 11, some are 12, but it's the average. So let's say you start off with $300,000 limit and you're 2 or 3 years into this, you've knocked it down to 150. Then COVID comes around and some of these people panic. They're like, oh crap, now what do I do? I've got a loss of income. I was furloughed or my husband passed away. Whatever the situation is, you have an income disruption. Let's talk about, on the flip side of the coin, the mortgage. This happens. What are your options? Forbearance. Joe Biden did that, right? We had forbearance. We didn't have to make payments for 4 months, but guess what you had to do in the 4th month? Make all the 4 payments at one time.
Yeah.
Well, if you already had the money, you would have been making the payments. Hence why
Yeah.
foreclosures went up. But let's talk about it in the HELOC sense. They now have access to $150,000. Now, this is not ideal, but this is a way to keep your home. You can actually mechanize it to stabilize itself. Did Anthony talk about this, by the way?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. So you owe 150. Your limit is 300. So now you have income disruption. All you have to do, and there are banks, including Anthony's and some others, that automate this. They'll do it for you. But you could take your payment, send it to your checking account, turn around from your checking account, send it right back to the HELOC. It's recorded as a payment on time until the next month. You don't have that flexibility. And in fact, you could turn your free HELOC into your own reverse mortgage. And it could be supplemental income so you can weather the storm. Now, is it ideal? No, your balance creeps up.
Totally.
Balance creeps up, so does your payment, et cetera. But it gives you a cushion where the mortgage, you're 120 days late, start packing.
Yeah. And you're spot on, especially if you have equity in your home and the 30-year mortgage. Now, you could do the same thing with the second lien, but again, if you build the well before you're thirsty, a lot of people aren't doing it. And so, yeah, you're in a person's position, you have a lot more options versus having to make that payment. And how many people are saving or investing the difference? The same time, there's, people. Now, if you have no equity in either scenario, you're going to have to at least cover the interest. But again, if your interest rate is, let's just say, at the same as the mortgage, your payment's going to be lower because all you have to do is service the interest versus the principal. And if it's lower, obviously that's obvious. And if it's higher, there's probably a breakdown of like what the servicing the interest versus the payment. And so from a optionality standpoint, you're totally right.
Yeah, well, I've also missed another key detail too is, on a mortgage, as you're paying down on a mortgage, you're making a payment on an outdated balance because your contract payment is fixed. It doesn't change, right? Unless you refinance to change that payment, your payment never changes. On a home equity line of credit, as the balance goes down, the minimum payment adjusts with it. It goes down as well. So that also provides more optionality too. But again, I would argue if you don't have any income, any payment is too high. So that's what we did with some of our clients is show them how to mechanize their HELOC to actually cannibalize itself until they get back on their feet. Once they start earning income, it's a blip on the radar. And they have thanked us and said, look, if I was in a mortgage, I wouldn't own this home right now. I wouldn't have this asset. But because I met you guys and understood how to do this and how to mechanize it, I get to stay in the home.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 30-year mortgage. And again, it's easy to throw out the 2-3%. Let's just take 5%. Okay, just middle of the road, and the average is a lot higher. Why are you anti across the board keeping it for 30 years? And I know that you said on page 3, you look at the interest rate's one thing, but the volume of interest is another. I want you to unpack that and for us to have a discussion around that.
Yeah. So everyone signs the loan estimate. Page 1 is going to go over the interest rate and the payment. It's the sexiest thing to sell, which is why it's on the first page. Second page is going to go over all of your closing costs. And I will say the mortgage lenders get a bad rap for this because if you pay $15,000 to refinance your mortgage, they blame it all on the lender. Well, it's not. Actually, 2/3 of it is going to be third-party service vendors, whether it's a title insurance, title company, appraiser, et cetera. So the mortgage lender is responsible for 1/3 of that. So it's going to, on page 2, it's going to list out who all is getting the closing costs. And then on the third page, that's where it's their CYA document, cover your own assets, right? Where we are disclosing to you how big of a ripoff this is. So if it's a 5% mortgage or interest rate, and here's the thing: the mortgage interest rate dictates your payment. It doesn't necessarily dictate how much interest you're going to pay. So on the third page, you have what's called the tip. Actually, if you give me 2 seconds, I'll grab
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, do it, do it.
No. All right. So this is a loan estimate. So first page I talked about, but let's flip to the third page. Third page, this number right here is your tip, total interest percentage. That is the actual number in dollars that you're going to pay in interest. So in this scenario, it's a 3.875% mortgage rate. You're paying 69.45%. So on the 5%, you're probably paying 80-90%. Now, devil's advocate, how many people keep their mortgage for 30 years? Hardly anyone.
Yeah.
Probably longest I heard of is 15 years. We had a client and I was like, "You kidding me? You've had the same one for 15 years? Where were you at in 21? Taking a nap?" So most homeowners refinance or sell every 3 to 5 years. Hence why a mortgage is front loaded with interest. The banks know this. And again, I want to save space for the history of mortgages in this country so that people understand why the tool is the way that it is.